Over the past 3 years, I've honed a powerful content system designed specifically for busy professionals, entrepreneurs, and executives. You see, I was working over 40 hours a week at my full-time job as a business consultant, raising a young family, all the while running a part-time marketing agency. I had developed the habit of working nights and weekends while working my full-time job as I pursued an MBA in marketing. Soon after completing that, I shifted gears to growing my marketing agency and knew that content creation was imperative in growing my personal brand. So I took the time to refine my own personal content strategy, taking no more than 2 hours a week of my personal time to still have the time to manage my growing agency, my full-time career, and my family. This system I developed with my team. We call this system the podcast machine. And it wasn't just good, it was really good. So good that I made the hard choice of parting with my corporate career to go all in. Now, in the process, I've helped clients ranging from a 9-figure founder, a dentist, a pharmacist, and more develop their online personal brands through high-impact video-first podcasting, growing their platforms exponentially on places like YouTube, LinkedIn, and more. My name is Nico Torres Santana, and I'm the owner of NTS Media. I've built this system to be easily implementable and replicatable, with the goal of helping hundreds of professionals, executives, entrepreneurs, just like you, who are now turning to content creation to supercharge their businesses and their careers. But here's the thing, this window of opportunity is closing. Right now, it's never been easier to create content, and because of that, the marketplace will soon flood with new competitors, and your chance to stand out will diminish. You see, the best time to have started content creation was like 10 years ago, but the next best start is now. With the dawn of AI tools and technologies and a lean team of effective, high-impact editors, project managers, and frankly, consultants who actually know this landscape, you can be unstoppable. So in this video, I'm here to break down the exact step-by-step formula that I've used for my clients across the board, and that helped my most recent client take his dormant YouTube channel from 800 subscribers to over 127,000 subscribers in just 6 months. The same method and the same framework, the podcast machine, that has helped my clients generate thousands of leads, create thriving online profiles, develop a content strategy that aligns with their businesses, all the while not spending more than 1 to 3 hours a week of their time. So if you're serious about being the next generation of content creators, those who actually do the doing and not just talk the talking, this video is specifically for you. I want you to watch till the end, where I give you a high-level overview of that 90-day strategy to implement this same system into your business. Check this out. All right, so this is the most effective way that I found to start, generate, and consistently create content as a busy professional, spending no more than 2 hours a week on that content itself. Now, the goal here is to create high impact content that you could then repurpose for the sake of posting on other social media platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, and even utilizing the transcription of each video episode that you put out for a newsletter. And I'll show you how to do that. But first, we have to set the foundations, okay? So this is the kind of flow chart, so to speak, of a 90-day roadmap to get you up and running, spending no more than 2 hours a week on your content strategy. And this is what I call the podcast machine. It's a video-first podcast engine that will supercharge your lead generation. It'll help you convert higher when you do outbound campaigns like outbound outreach, DMs, Instagram messages, LinkedIn messages, so on and so forth, and even ads. And it'll give you the ability to create consistent content so that you could stay on track to creating a content library that you could then utilize to train AI models to create other incredible things. And I'll get into those here in another video, but we've used them to create basically like AI models for coaching and other forms of basically just content creation. So without getting ahead of myself here, let me go ahead and go through the 90-day roadmap. Now, we lay this out for each and every single one of our clients, ensuring that they go into 2 pathways. The first pathway is if you have a ton of time, but don't know how to do things and you have some capital, we then work with you directly to implement this particular map, flowchart, so to speak, or system into your content strategy so that you can optimize for getting results sooner than later. Now, that also means that you do some of the heavy lifting, like the actual editing and distribution of the content, but nevertheless, it's a fraction of the price of what our kind of VIP, so to speak, program gets you. Now, the results are going to be pretty much the same, but A higher touch, higher impact offer is really where we're aiming for our first 5 to 10 clients. And that'll be us doing 90% of the heavy lifting. So literally, you can spend even just an hour a week on this system. And so I'll show you how that system looks like. This is the most important part of the 90-day roadmap. This is phase one. Phase one is crucial because this is where you're going to define your audience and your objectives. 9 times out of 10, podcasts fail because of the fact that they're not using it in the right way. Now, if your sole purpose is entertaining and fun, generating content and that sort of thing, that's okay. That's okay. I'm not hating on that. However, what I will say is if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur like minded individual, maybe you have a high paying job or you have some sort of knack for trying to build something on the side while you have the flexibility of remote work or hybrid work or what have you, this is the perfect system for you, and it'll help you generate anywhere between 5, 6, even 7 figures. And I haven't done that. I've done the high 6-figure range, but I've seen creators who've used the same system get into the 7-figure club, and I'll show you how to do that. The first step is, again, defining your audience and your objectives. This is key, guys. If you don't define what you're trying to get after with this particular system, you're not going to get it. Some people default to vanity metrics and shares, likes, views, comments, and that sort of thing. And again, that's okay. But you miss the mark, and then you get frustrated on why your podcast isn't giving you the results that you've never defined. So define those, define your audience, because at the end of the day, if you're speaking to one person, one avatar, as opposed to a generic whole, then you'll get a higher conversion rate on any lead magnet that you create or generate for your offer. The second thing is developing a podcast offer. What does that mean? Your unique selling proposition, or the way that you solve problems specifically and uniquely, is what you're going to communicate, and how we're going to help you define your 4 to 5 content pillars. We try to parameterize, if that's even a word, make kind of parameters for your content. So when you create your content, you're not getting outside of those parameters, because you could start talking about knitting or the football game that you watched last week as a whole episode, or how you like to create certain recipes. And if you are a founder and executive coach trying to get more founders and executive coaches to join your program, well, guess what? You're probably not going to start attracting those audiences with that type of content. And obviously, that's an extreme example, but you get my point. Creating content pillars will help you define and continue to redefine how you structure each and every single one of your high impact video first podcast episodes. And I say video first because a lot of people get it misconstrued. When I share this roadmap with them, they think, oh, a podcast, why would I want a podcast? It's audio only. No. We're doing video first podcast. And so this will help you define and redefine your content pillars to ensure that moving forward, even on your existing content library, you can stay within those parameters, share stories as you see fit. But all in all, it goes back to those 4 to 5 content pillars. We specifically set up your systems and tools if you're working directly with us on the podcast machine. Or if you, again, want some guidance and a general overview, we can always walk you through that process if you want the consultative side of the house. But it's simple. The goal here is to create 90 days worth of content, right? Or rather, to create content in 90 days, but more importantly than that, to create and cultivate a habit. Atomic Habits by James Clear indicates that it takes 90 days to develop a new habit. And so that's what we're doing. We are creating a habit of content generation, video first content generation at that, by first and foremost making it easy, right? Creating the right environment. This is one of the things that he talks about in his book, is you have to make developing a new habit, a good habit, easy. And so we do that. We set up the right tech stack, so to speak, in a way that you can implement it without even thinking about it. Look, one of the things that I've seen a lot of people do, unfortunately, is invest in a ton of equipment, a ton of resources, a ton of expensive and hard to use gear. And if you're already there and know how to use it, that's fine. But if you don't, then it's more of a hindrance. Right now I'm using Loom and a mirrorless camera hooked up to my laptop with a USB-C microphone to record this video, while I could have two different camera angles and all sorts of different nice flow charts behind me and graphics and all that stuff, which I don't mind implementing. But look, the goal here is to create a system that works for you and with you and not against you. And that's what we do. The content strategy and guest planning is another variable to that. And that's going to hold you accountable to ensuring that you have some sort of pre-production planning, that you know exactly who you're going to reach out to, that you have a plan before each episode, because what you end up doing, especially if you're underprepared or have never done this before, is you start questioning or asking questions that have no relevance to your content pillars, number one. And number two is not engaging. Look, unless you come from a background in journalism and communications, you're not going to know how to ask the right questions, how to be a good listener, how to ensure that your messaging is coming across right. So we do that pre-planning for you if you work with us one-on-one, to ensure that you get the maximum impact episodes recorded each and every time. And if you don't, that's okay. Obviously, we're not aiming for perfection on the first go around. We're aiming for progress. But the baseline is set up in a way where the standard is higher on the first go around than the 10th go around, and you're still fumbling trying to figure out how to do this on your own. This can all be done simultaneously within 4 weeks, a 4-week time frame. And so what we do is we systematize it so that it's simple and easy to follow for you for those first 4 weeks. Then we get into phase two. Phase two is really more of that step-by-step. You have to do first step, the first step before you get into the second step. This is where you're going to record your initial episodes, 3 to 4 episodes, batch recorded typically, unless it's a guest episode where, one guest may be available like 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and the next episode can't be recorded until your next guest is available the following Wednesday at 10 a.m. So we try to work around other people's schedules. Nevertheless, we also recommend and highly advise to do a couple monologue episodes where you can actually then showcase your expertise, talk about your story, your why, your how, and your what, right? Your why, your how, and your what. And then from there, you can get into further interviews, and we'll talk to you about how to actually implement effective interview strategies so that you don't just talk and ramble for an hour or half an hour or whatever, but basically it's structured in a way where it's a mini masterclass so that you can then get the best of the best information that would actually serve your audience rather than serving your own curiosity. And that's going to be the effective part there. After we record the first 3 to 4 episodes, this is where we edit and redefine or refine your episodes for you if you work directly with us one-on-one. However, you're more than welcome to do that. We try to keep and constrain each episode to no more than 30 minutes. The reason being is that 15 to 30-minute mark is sufficient. It's enough, right? Especially for these edutainment style video first high impact podcast episodes, because people are not going to stay too long, and it's going to be information overload if you're doing it the right way. If you're doing it the wrong way, then yeah, you can shoot the crap, for lack of a better term, for an hour, and it's going to serve you great and maybe serve your guest, but people don't really care to stand around the water cooler and hear about, some people care about it, I guess, but gossiping and that sort of thing. Like, they're there, if they're going to exchange their time and their money for your particular product and offer, you want to ensure that you're giving them something of high value so that they're basically is a no-brainer when it comes to asking for the sell. They're like, yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, I've heard like 5 hours of your content, and every single episode is just high impact. It's valuable. It's great. This is what we're finding with our top performing clients. Then we launch your podcast. This is still within that first 8 weeks of the 12-week program. We launch your podcast. We ensure that everything is set up in a way where you can release your first 3 to 4 episodes on a batch basis, audio and video, and each week simultaneously or following that, you can release 1 to 2 episodes after that. So you'll release your first 4 episodes. We'll have your thumbnails ready to go, your high impact titles, everything structured appropriately for specifically YouTube so that you can actually have the highest likelihood of getting to who you want to get to, and not necessarily the highest view count. Because if you think about it, if you have 10,000 or even 100,000 people that actually fall within the framework of your ideal client profile, aka your avatar, and there's about a 3 to 5% CTR click-through rate, you're going to have 500 views of your first podcast, maybe 5,000 max. But look, that's what matters. You would much rather have 500 high intent, high value clients view your podcast episode than 5 million people who are just looking to spend time on YouTube or wherever else they consume your podcast and never want to buy a thing from you. You don't want that. Phase 3 are the last 4 weeks of the program, and this is where it can be done simultaneously as well. We teach you how to repurpose your content and promote it. So repurpose each long form video in a way where you're not just dumping it on AI clip generating software. No, you don't want that because that's not going to help you stand out from the crowd. You want to ensure that you have a unique product. You have something of value, something that has your branding on it. And oftentimes people miss the point. When it comes to AI, it's supposed to make you more efficient, not replace you. So that's the first step. The second step is we promote your content with short form clips, articles, tweets, LinkedIn posts, so on and so forth. And that creates what's called the social funnel. So in each one of these platforms, people consume small bits of content, typically, that can then help them walk through a journey of getting into your email newsletter. But a lot of people miss the fact that they can also be guided to your long form video content. And that will help with further nurturing and conversion. And that's where your high impact video first podcast will come into play. And so it'll give them the opportunity to have a longer duration of time and exposure with you. In fact, Google research shows that in order for a customer to make a purchase, they have to spend 7 hours with your content across 11 different touch points. So if you're only focusing on one channel, right? And you should focus on one channel predominantly, but let's say you're only focusing on one channel and not giving people the opportunity to then come into a environment where they can spend 7 hours consecutively with you as if they were working with you, you're not giving yourself the most effective opportunity to work with your client, and you're not leveraging your time appropriately. So that's where that repurposing comes into play, and that's where that promotion comes into play through the social funnel. And I have another video on that if you want to check that out here in the description below or somewhere around here. But make sure you finish watching this first. Okay. The second step, kind of simultaneously as well, symbiotically, is to analyze and optimize. You analyze the data, you ensure that your watch time is appropriate, you ensure that your click-through rate is according to what the industry average is for your type of content. You make sure that you're getting and hitting the right impressions, and that the people that are engaging with your content in the comments section, A, are getting value from it, and B, fit your ideal client avatar. Now, it's not always going to be that explicit, of course. I mean, you'll have to book a call with them, or rather, they'll have to book a call with you and then actually get into the minutia of who they are and what they're about and that sort of thing. So you'll have to speak to some people before you actually know exactly who you're attracting. But to ensure that that is going in the right direction, as you're growing your channel, as you're growing your podcast, and you're getting reviews and comments and all that stuff, you're seeing who it is that is commenting and engaging with your content, and you continue to optimize for further and further engagement in the right way. This brings me to building engagement and community. Effectively, you want to be present in these platforms. What you don't want to do is delegate 100% of the work out so that you're never having any sort of touch points with your clients. We've learned this with Elon Musk. Even Elon, who is a multi-billionaire, and you can say what you want to say about the guy, but one thing that he has done effectively is he stayed in the platforms where his people reside, meaning that he'll be on Twitter, he'll ask questions to his ideal clients, he'll ask things that are pertinent to them and receive that feedback. From what I've heard, of course, I haven't done enough deep diving to see if exactly this is what it is, but like I've seen that. Same thing with Jeff Bezos. He is about the customer first, listens, ensures that their problems are solved, and optimizes for ensuring that the client is served the best way possible. And so the best way that you do that as a solo founder, solopreneur, or even a small lean team of 5 to 10 people is that you as the founder have to go into these channels, go through the comments, see what people are saying. Of course, you don't want to spend too much time in the comment section, but enough so that you can get an understanding of what is right and what is wrong with your content. And sometimes you'll have subjective comments and things of that nature that have nothing to do with who it is. It's just ad hominem attacks that are whatever, just they don't like you, and that is what it is. It's like 10% of the population anyway are not going to like what you do. But the other 90% can provide some valuable feedback. Maybe you're talking too much. Okay, I should shut up. Maybe you're not asking the right questions. Maybe you come across as this or that and the third. It's important and imperative to ensure that who you're attracting A, is the right person, and B, how you're attracting them is in the right fashion. And so this is that engagement and community, going back to the analyze and optimize. The last part, the last two parts are really more so about growing that and expanding that and then monetizing it. And that's the two steps that are post, weeks, phase one and phase two are going to really create the foundation for you to be able to continue to optimize for monetization and growth and engaging your community. So that is the 90-day roadmap. Look, you could take this roadmap and implement it yourself starting today. You don't have to use us for this, but I can guarantee you this. If you do work with us, you will cut this time. First of all, you'll cut this time into 90 days because chances are you do this, it'll take you a whole year before you even get to the place where you're actually monetizing. And that's okay. But if you want to do it a little faster, you have a little bit of time, you have some money set aside, you can book us directly in the link below and we can see if you're a good fit for our program, our 90-day program. If you want us to do 95% of the heavy lifting, you have a good amount of capital ready to invest in yourself. You don't have a ton of time, so that thereby you maybe can invest 1 to 2, maybe even 3 hours a week on this content system. No worries, we can actually implement the rest of the system for you on your behalf, and it'll save you the time of having to learn this stuff on your own. And so go ahead and book a call, or rather apply to work with us in the link in the description below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time.